Masechta bava basra daf nun beis amud aleph. We're starting from nun aleph amud beis. 5 lines from the bottom. Taner abana. Nun beis amud. No. 5 lines from the bottom. Taner abana. Talking about it. Taner abana. You learned. The Rabbanan had learned. Ein mekablim pigdonos loimin hanoshim veloimin havodim. We don't. Pikadon cannot accept pigdonos. A pikadon not from women who are married, collaterals from women who are married, and not from avodim knanim veloimin hatanoikis, and not from little children, because we're concerned maybe they stole the money, maybe the wife took the money from the husband. Or maybe the avodim stole it from the master and the little children, the same. So, correct. So the reason why they're giving it as a pikadim, because in order, if they get checked out, it's not going to be found by them. They're doing stealthily, smart. They don't want to get caught with the pants down, like we say. Okay, so you're not allowed to be an accomplice. The one that's maybe. Okay, the one that's being makabel the pikadon is not allowed to be makabel it. He's accomplice. He's helping them still. People.
Even though it might be emes,
but we shouldn't mostly. Okay, now we're going to talk about where is it more probable that he stole it. Evet Kanani is more probable than Aisha. We're soon going to see that. Kibel, if it already happened that he accepted the pikadon in Aisha with the woman, Yasel Aisha, he has to return it back to the cotton. He has to give it back to the Isha. He took it from the Isha. He has to give it back to the Isha. And we can't say it's Avadoyos that she stole. We don't have.
He doesn't have to give it back
It's
to the
not.
husband.
No, you don't give it back to the husband because it's not a sure thing that she stole. But now, Kibble, Avi Mesa, but if she passed away before she got a chance to receive back the Pikadon, Yasel the Baila goes back to the husband. Why? Because now, for sure, it belongs to him. How are you going to look at it? If she passed away, it belongs to he's her Yiddish. So that's why it belongs to her.
Everything belongs to him.
Right? He gave it Amanas. How's a Chayach to say that she had it? We know Masha Kana Isha Kana Baila. How does she have something that only belongs to her? So the Rashbam brings down, it's for instance a case that somebody gave her as a matona amanas that the baila, her husband, shouldn't have any rishus in it. So it's specifically given up front. And the same thing we're going to say with David. How Masha Kana Rabbi? How's a child that he had something that's not exclusively to him and not to the master? So here also the David was Makabel Mama and Matona, but Eifin that the other has no rishus in it. And that's why.
You could do it.
Yeah, you could do such a thing. But over there, if again, now, we said if he received it from the Eved, Yachzel Eved. If the Eved is alive, he gives it back to the Eved, not to the Adin. In Mace, but if he died, Yachzel Rabbi, it goes back to the master. Now, there's going to be a difference. Lamashal, if she got divorced, and then she died, who does it go to? Not to the husband. It goes to the Yisayim. It goes to her Yashim. Let's say her own kids, not the husband's kids.
I have 2 kids.
You get 2 sets of marriages. It goes to the husband's kids. Why? Because there it's not for sure. The Rashbam said because there it's shayach that she got a matana. She didn't steal. It's more problem that she didn't steal. But what's if the Eved Kanani gave it as a pikadon and then he was freed, right? And then died. Who does it go to? It goes back to the Adon. Why? Because we say Eved is more probable that he stole it. Because Stam Avodim or Stam Eved Gamba is a Ganef. Chazak Sheganova steht by Eved. I'll use the Stam Avodim Ganovim Heim. That's why it's more probable, and that's why we're going to, even if he was freed and he died, we're going to say it goes back to the Balabayas and not his kids. Versus Aisha, who was divorced, and that night goes to her Yasha. Okay, sagt the Gemara. If you received a pikadon from the pikadon, Yaselo is gula. He should do something. The Bala pikadon, the Shema pikadon should do something that it should remain, and it shouldn't get squandered. The mace, but if the pikadon died, Yaselo Yashav. It goes back to the Yashim. So here we're talking about, of course, Taisus explains, a cotton that doesn't have a father, and that's why you'll go. He has no parents. Also, there's a machlokes in the Shainim that if he gave it back to the child and he didn't make it a school out of it, there's a shaila if this guy is going to be responsible for the money that the child squandered, because he was not allowed to give it back to the child. A little child who's it's considered.
How did the child get this out?
He had it. Somebody gave it to him. So he says, "Sha'ashoyim yasas hamotin lekot na'atzma" is a problem. He does not watch things. So the shame is not yoitza if he returns it. The shmira yedei shavei saloi. He cannot just stop because sharei ki mashlich leibud. It's like he's giving it to the garbage can. He's not allowed to do that. That's according to the Machna Ephraim. Most of the Shainim say he's responsible and he has to buy something that should stay.
The cotton has an object to give away. He said he found it.
He found it either a mitzvah or somebody gave it to him as a matana, a little present. Yeah. So he says, but there's a yeshayim that no, the be'emes minadin he's potter. The balap cotton, meikadin, all he has to do is just like a regular aveda. You found some aveda in a certain place, you could return it to the same place where it was lost, and that's enough. So other Rishonim said it's not mechuyev to take care of it. Right, it's not mechuyev. Okay, Kulan, the Isha, the Eved. When we say the Kulan, all these three cases, the Isha, the Eved, and the Cotton, Sha'amru, we're talking about Bishas Misasan. As the time of the death, and the Moyes Halolosh is Shaploini Hein. And in all these three cases, if they tiny, the money is not ours, it belongs to Chaim Yankel, whatever, somebody else.
That's why we give you a cotton?
Huh?
That's the reason we give you a
No, now he's saying a new thing. The Kulan, Sha'amru b'shas b'sasan, all these cases when he says Shapleni and Yasa Kipirushon in love, Yasa Perush lePerushon, then to make your own Pirush on it. So he's saying over here in these cases that if we have to say it was b'shas b'sasan, if the ones that gave the Pekadon were Briyim, surely they're going to be believed that it belongs to that person. There wouldn't even be a shaila that they could do kippidish, like his own piddish. What does it mean? First, let me tell you the pashut pshat thing about it. If he says shalpleni hein, that it belongs to somebody else, so the shema could figure out if they're saying bava maisas or not. If he sees that and he feels they're being truthful, then he gives it to that person. But if he hears out the story and he feels it's a ganze bava maisa, then he should give it back to the.
She wants it to go to someone
Right. So if he figured out it's all about Maisa, then he should give it back to the rightful owners, the Shema, the one that's holding the Pekadon. But this is Babed Varim Amurim, that he can make his own Piddish and give it back to the owners, only if she's Bishas Misasan, or the evidence Bishas Misasan. Because if they're Briyim, they have a migu, they could have taken it back because you're mechuyev to give it back to the Eved, to the Isha, and they themselves could have given it to the Pliny. So that's why we have to say that Rashban is saying that it's talking about B'shas Misasim. Okay, the Gemara brings down the story. The Visu, the Rabba Ba'achana, the wife of Rabba Ba'achana, Kikosh Shachva, when she's about to die, Amra, she said, Hani Kifi, these earrings, the Marta Ubnei Barta, belongs to Marta. Marta was a Talmud Chacham, who was a brother of Reb Chia, who's a sage, and it also belongs to the children of his daughter. These earrings, very expensive earrings. Also, so Rab Babachana didn't know what to do. The wife is telling Rab Babachana it doesn't belong to him; it belongs to Marta and Marta's grandchildren. So he came before the Rab Babachana and he asked, "What should I do with these earrings?" Amalei says, if you believe your wife, you think she's truthful, I'll say Kippurusha.
He didn't know?
I'll say Kippurusha. Good. Listen, I say Kippurusha. Do like she said, if you trust him. Eloi, but if she's not believed by you, I say Pirush, do your own Pirush, live Pirusha to her Pirush, and hold the earrings for yourself. So the Gemara, he could say, this is what Rav told Rabbi Babachona, he says, if Marta and his mishpacha are people that could afford buying such expensive earrings, then I say Kipirusha, then do like her Pirish and give it to them, because they're rich people, they're able to afford such things, it probably belongs to them. But if they're not shaykh to buy such, they don't have that kind of money, then I say Pirish LePirish, I do a Pirish to her Pirish, meaning hold it for yourself, keep it for yourself.
Maybe she borrowed the earrings for a wedding or something, so it's...
Maybe it belonged to the husband and he had it. Maybe he did. He doesn't remember. I know Rabbi Yoshbal used to buy for Rabbi Nushbal beautiful stuff. Yeah. He would give just because it's my wife's grandmother. Grandmother, yeah. And I knew Rabbi Yoshbal also. He was very bright.
His father's mother.
Yeah. Her father's mother, right? My Shrez's mother, yeah. And I knew Rabbi Yoshua also. He was very bright. He used to come. He didn't even ask me and give mother. Du bist hungry? Du darfst etwas essen? He would give you right away money to buy food.
He was
unbelievable, yeah. Sagt jemand mit einer Cotton, yes, from a cotton. That meaning, if he received the cotton from a child, then you should do a segula. For fact, what am I school? What do you mean you do a segula? What's the school? Can we make a kind? Now, Chizdama Sefer Torah, buy him a Sefer Torah in which to learn. Why is that something Davar Shekayemes? Because he says, why is this Aken Shaloi Kayemes? And it's not going to get, it's not going to go to waste. Because Chizda holds a limud shel cotton b'Sefer Torah nach Shaperes. It's considered as Peres with Alamo Baxim for that. If the child, the living of a cotton as a Torah, there's always going to be Peres. Dikla, buy a date tree. There'll always be Tmarim. Don't go invest in some business in a stock market that it could go to garnish.
If you find a field, you win the lottery,
yeah.
What you do to preserve the money, buy a Sefer Torah.
Okay. So here he says, Befedish, don't invest in investments that you can lose the whole keren. That's awesome. Only in something that the keren shall kayemas.
Like if we did the food, you went out.
Yeah, that's a stock.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah. You're right. The father cannot say, I was 3 years in the nechosim of my son, so his karka belongs to me. It's not going to be a chazaka because a son lets his father there, and the vice versa the same. Leila Bain, Ben was in the nechosim of the father. He says, I was there. The son says, I have a chazaka. I was there 3 years. I'm going to help him because the father allows the son to be there, and therefore there was no machah.
And you paid him too.
Yeah. Okay, there you go. But he's not going to make a machah. It's his son, and the son for the father either. Rav Yosef says that even if the son separated from the father, he's no more Semich al Shulchan. He got married. He's independent, and nevertheless he's eating from the field. Fadraya. He says doesn't matter. It's not going to be chazaka. The father won't say a word. Rav Amma no. Cholku. If he got married and he has nothing to do with the father, nish fadraya. Loy. If it's fadraya, volte gemacht amacha. And if it's nish gemacht amacha, it's obvious that he bought it. So Rabbi argues, says, yeah, chazaka, but because matana, but you can't. The father can't. You can't say that I let him be there and I wasn't moicha. That's not going to fly.
Even 1 year is already a chazaka.
No, he says 3 years. But
3 years also.
A chazaka with a taina. He needs a star. He doesn't have the stars. Where's your stars? He says because I was there 3 years. After 3 years, I didn't bother holding onto the star. I'm going to have Yimiyah Midiftei. Rav Yimyam B'diftei said, over Rav Papi Uvda, Rav Papi, paskin the halach l'maisa in the case of Cholku, where the father separated from the son, Loi, then we don't say that it's not going to be that it's going to be a chazak. I'm sorry, that's not going to be a chazaka. Faket, it's going to be a chazaka if the father separated. Kirova, like Rava said, what? Loi, Cholku loi. Loi meaning that the Hayra of the Mishnah was not said there. What was the Hayra of the Mishnah? You cannot make a chazaka because the father won't be meichab. So he says, Loi, no, we're not going to follow that it's not going to be a chazaka. It will be a chazaka if it was cholku. Kirava, like Rava said, Omer Rav Nachman Rav Yitzchak, Ishtoyeli, Rabbi Chia. Rabbi Chia told over to me, May Hurmis from the city of Urmis, which is in the country of Ardshit. And the Ishtoyeli, Rav Achbar Rav Yaakov Mishmei, the Rav Nachman Rav Yaakov. That Rav Achbar Rav Yaakov is told over in the name of Rav Nachman Rav Yaakov. That in the case with the Av and the Ben were Cholku, Loi. We don't follow the Hira of the Mishnah, that's not going to be a Chazaka. If they separated, it's going to be a Chazaka if he was there for 3 years. Like Rava, yeah. So we have the Psak. That's the Psak. The Psak is like Rava. The Hilchas Cholku, Loi. The halach is not, we're not going to say it's not, it's going to be a Chazaka. We're not going to follow the Hira of the Mishnah, that's not going to be a Chazaka. Rather, it will be a Chazaka. Tanya Nami Yochi. We also learned in Abraisa similarly. Ben Shecholak, a Ben that separated from the father, he got married, he's not on his own. A woman who got divorced from her husband had a hein kishar kol adam b'degetz chazaka. That if they're there for 3 years, it's going to be a chazaka, and it's going to help the chazaka if they have a title, of course. Itma. Zog Yimara, we learned the machlik samaroyim in a case of echod min ha'achin, one of the brothers, shaya noisei the noisen b'seich habayis, that they were the one of the brothers was taking care of all the business of the whole household. You know, he took over. The father passed away, and he's taking care of all the businesses, even when the father was alive. But he was the son of one of the brothers. He was the businessman. He took care of all the businesses. And there were study mechira, ushtaris, and there were studies of halbois. Yoitzin al Shemai, it was written out to his own personal name. To that brother. Oines is studies. Studies mechira. Studies and studies halva. Oines is a start of sale that there was a mechira to him, and it was written out that this field was sold to him. To the brother, not to the father, not to the family. And the halva is that the money was lent out. He was the one that lent out. He was the malva. So what happened? And that brother said, these are all my stuff. It has nothing to do with the Yerush over here. It's not part of the estate. So he says he had a different mother, and he says, listen, from our father's side, this pieces have nothing to do with it. All these havois and the karka is from my mother's side. Her father gave it to her, and I inherited it. That's what he says. Amarav, I love Lavirai. Rav said, hey, you're coming with a shady business.
He's still in the house.
He's still in the house, yeah. He says,
show me proof.
Show me proof. He has to bring proof that it's his personal, and he inherited from his mother's side.
Reasons because he's bias.
Yeah. It says because שאף על פי שהשטודיס כתוב בנשאי, יש להדיר שנכתב שם משום שהוא לבד נס ונס בנכסי אביהם. He's the only one that's dealing with the נכסי אביהם. Mitamol, so in the נכסי אביהם is given a chelik was einer. It looks as shady business. Okay, sagt die Yemara Ushmol Lama, Ushmol argues. Allah, Ochin, Laviraya. It's upon the brothers to bring a raya, but because the shtaris are written out to his name. So let the brothers bring a raya, it's not his.
Why the brothers leave him?
The brothers...
The brothers want to have it.
So now the brothers will have to bring a raya that these shtaris were really from our nechasim he has to bring. That's according to Shmuel. Oma Shmuel said, Moideli Abba Rav. So what does it mean, Moideli Abba? Abba is going on Rav. The Rashbam says the real name of Rav was Abba. Why did they call him Rav? Because the Kiddush Rav is a description of kavod that he earned in Bavel. He says Pachasha, just like Rabbi. Rabbi is going on Rabbi Yehuda Anasi. So Rabbi was an Indian of a name that was an Indian of respect, a name of respect, and that's his all. Rabbi Yehuda Hanasi, yeah, but they called him Rabbi. Rabbi is a nickname for that he was Rosh Bnei Yisrael. So that was with Rav, and that's why they called him Abba. I mean, that's why Abba was called Rav. His real name was Abba. So what did Shmuel say? Rav is made to me, she mace, that if the brother who's in charge, who's doing the whole business in the whole estate, he died, and the rest of the brothers are saying, hey, whatever you're showing us, the stories from your father's name, really belongs to our estate. Al ha'achn lahavi b'raya. Even though Rav says, who would normally have to bring the raya? Who would normally have to bring the raya is the one single one. But now that he died, we say al ha'achn lahavi raya.
Normally, if he was alive,
He would have to bring it. Now it's different, right? The maskiv law, Rapapa is the kasha. Lechere klum tanin lo yisayim midi loitan lo'avian midi the loitan lahu avuhain. I mean, he's asking, how could you say that? How could we? The whole reason why tanin and liyisayim, right, is when we say we give them the yisayim taina, even if the father was there one day, because the father himself would have tained that he bought it, and if he would have had a chazaka, the chazaka would have helped. Now that the father died, they don't know all the businesses, so their chazaka is good. All they have to bring proof that he was one day there, because being that he was there one day, the father for sure would have said that he bought it. But over here, if the father was alive, he wouldn't have been able to just taina it's mine. He would have to go out and bring proof, all kinds of proof.
Because why the son?
Well, how'd you get the money? How does it? All this, all of a sudden, that proof falls aside and falls down. The burden. According to Rav, the brother who, the brother, if he was alive, that single brother who took care of the whole estate, he would have to go. He wouldn't be able to just say it's mine. He would have to go bring proofs, and we're soon going to learn Raya Be'edim, the whole trail of how you got the money and how you bought the karka and how you lent. So now that he dies, nothing. The son's a potter, and the brother, now it's the burden is on the brothers to bring proof that it wasn't his. You don't do such a thing. How could you do that? Yisayimim, the Ashbam explains, when do we say Tanili, even though we say Tanili Yisayimim, but when do you say Tanili Yisayimim? Something that the father could have easily tied it, it's his, and the chazaka would have helped. Here, the father couldn't tie it, it's his. Here the father has to go out and start bringing rayas. The sons can't get away without that burden and saying the burden is on the brothers. It's not fair. And he brings you a raya. Rabba apik zuga de sabla. Rabba had taken away the scissors that they used to cut the wool. The sifra de agadata and the sefer agadis me yasmi from yisayim. Wool, a special scissor, yeah. So he took it away from the assignment, and beloy raya, without in a different case, he's showing you that anything that's normally lent out or rented out. So the father, even if the father would have tied it, he had a chazaka, it wouldn't help, because it was something that people lend out the scissor, or people lend out svarim. So it wouldn't have been the father's. Now that the father died, we're not going to say, oh, it belongs to the children. We'll tie it that for the father that he bought it. It doesn't work that way. We don't tie it for the father he bought it. Yeah, he took it away from the assignment. That somebody who's a muhsik b'dvarim ha'asuyim lahashal lahasker. If somebody who has a chazaka is holding on to something that's normally lent out or to be rented out, and he has it, let's say, even 3 years, and he says he bought it, he's not going to be believed. So just like we don't give the taina to the father, we're not going to give the taina to the children automatically, and they're going to keep it. So over here, by our case, the same thing. Here, how could you give the children an automatic free pass, where the father, if he was alive, he wouldn't have that free pass. He would have to go bring Eidim. Where's the Eidim? Bring an Eidim of the trail of the money, of the hava, of the sadis that he bought. Because normally, under normal circumstances, it belongs to the whole estate. It belongs to the other brothers. kasha. Says the Gemara is taka
Who
guter
said-
kasha.
who said it's a kasha on one, Rav?
Is a kasha on Shmuel, who said that Rav would be Maida, the Rav who says that the burden is on the brother if he was alive to bring Eidim, right? If the brother died, he's going to say the burden transfers over to the brothers for the assignment. So the Gemara is no. Why? Just like Rava Paskin, that we took it out of the assignment's hands because the father didn't have such an easy taina, because it's normally lent out. Or the Svarim, if he would have had it and he would have said he bought it, we wouldn't believe him. He would have to bring Rayas, Eidim, Metalamaises. As long as he didn't bring Eidim, it's not going to help. So why here with the children, and since the children inherit it, we don't say the children have a free pass and don't have to bring Eidim that the father bought it. Just like the children would have to bring proof that the father actually bought it. So to here, they have to bring proof that the father had a trail, how he got the money, how because he has to bring Eidim to prove that he had, that it's not part of the estate. Kasha, so good kasha. Omer Rav Chizda hat gesagt, lo yishanu ela de'ein chalukim be'isasam. When we said this hayra, that the burden is on the one brother who's doing all the businesses, is talking about they were all eating from the same kitchen. It wasn't divided in chalakim. Everybody got everybody got the same portion. That's a communal kitchen. Yeah. But if each one was able to take a little portion for himself, he says take, yeah, but here he means they all ate from the same take. But if you're going to say no, it was divided, each one took his own piece of take, each one, it was chalukin, so it could be he didn't eat up his whole portion. He skimmed off. He wasn't eating from the same pot and taking a little bit of soup. Everybody got a chelik, and from his chelik, he was shy to skim off, just take a little piece and sell it. So in such a case, Eimam say kimetz. I'm going to say he skimmed off his own, and he didn't eat so much. No zakta. Sheken yesh lema shetzimtzim mizoy noisav et mitzamtzim given zayin esenvag. Bekach nitztabel loy, and he gathered b'mesher zman money mishaloi, money of his sheina shayach l'shayachim, because everybody got their portion and he skimmed off. It wasn't in one pot and everybody ate from the same pot. Everybody got a chelik. So shaykh that he did business. He gathered money together. That's if they divided the Isa and each one got his own piece of tea, and he skimmed off and took it just a little bit, and he saved the rest and he sold it for money, and every day he accumulated money, and he macht the investment and he macht das geld. So in such a case, we say that he's believed to say that he bought it. The only time we say that the burden is on the brother and he's not going to be believed if they all ate from the same pot. Everybody had a regular bowl, and it was one bowl of soup that they took from same pot. No, that's one pot. So you mother, what when you say he has to bring proof? What do you mean by bringing proof? How is he? What does he have to? The brother has to bring proof. What are you referring to? He has to bring eidim that he skimmed off, or that he was skimming off his chelik, or he inherited from his mother's father. He has a different mother, and that's how he has the money to buy fields, or he lent out money. Rashesh argues. He says the star that he has, the star mechido, the star hava, he goes to Bezdin. They bring the Eidim, and Bezdin gives a seal a hempik. But Bezdin never gives a hempik till they want to hear the story from the Eidim. So obviously, if Bezdin put a hempik, the story is Amasa. We can believe that he made that money. Amalei Rav Nachman. Rav said to Rav Nachman, Rav v'Shmuel. We have a machlokes of Rav and Shmuel. Who's the burden on? Is it the burden on the single brother, according to like Rav? Or is the burden on the other brothers to prove that the single brother didn't have these karka and havais? and it all was part of their estate. And then we had another machlokes. Harav Sheshes. What a machlokes? How are you supposed to be mevarer the raya? Rabbi says the way you do it, you bring Eidim that testified that every day he took a little piece off and he was selling the rest and he gathered money together. And according to Sheshes, no, he took the star, made the Eidim come to Bezdin and got a handpicker seal, so Bezdin would ask the story. So that's the raya. So which one do we go by? First of all, who's the halacha like? Like Rav or Shmuel? And if the halacha is like Rav, in Rav, who's the halacha like in Rayas? Like Rabba or like Rav Sheshes? Listen, one thing I can tell you, I have a baraisa that paskins like Rav. Even though the halacha is like Shmuel when it comes to dinim amanis, but being that we have a baraisa, here the halacha is going to be like Rav. What's the masnisa? The Tanya that we learned in the baraisa. Echad min ha'achim. One of the brothers that was doing business in the house. And that one brother was dealing with study mechira, study halvas, and yoitz nal shmai, and they were written out to his own personal name. The Oman, he was saying, Shaliyain, it's the personal line, it's takabain. Shanoflali mi beis avi ima. It fell from my mother's father. Allah lahavi raya. Who has to bring a raya? That single brother has to bring a raya. That it's his own personal mechira. That one brother that's doing the whole business for the whole estate, he has to bring proof that these study mecha that's written out today, his name is Taka his.
So what do we say here?
So you see that Allah is like Rav. But not in the to how the rayas are. Then he says, the Braisa continues, V'chein ha'isha. So too a woman who lost her husband, and she's almana. She noises v'neisenes v'sechabayis, and she is taking care of the estate for the children, for the Yisraelim. V'hoyo oines u'shtaris yoitz nashma, and there was study mecha, there was study halva, written out to her own personal name. The Amr, and she said, Shaliyain, it's mine. Shenaflili mi beis avi abba, mi beis avi ima. She says it fell from her father's father, or from her mother's father. Shalehola haviraya. She's going to have to be proof that it's hers because she was officially taking care of the estate of the Yisayim. Mitamol. Also like Rav, yeah. Also like V'chein. He says V'chein. In fact, what am I V'chein? And the Rashbam says V'chein means that you're coming to tell you not only the first case, but I'm going to tell you even a bigger chiddush, even by Isha. Why is there a bigger chiddush by Isha if they're studying mecha on her name that she has to bring a raya versus a regular case of one brother doing all the business? Yeah, why over here? You tell me a chiddush, there's a novelty here. What's the chiddush? Mao the Taitma says, I would have thought to say, Isha, kivan the shvicha la milsa, since she's doing such a hush of a thing, and Bezdin trusted her to be the apotropos, the managing agent for the estate of the Yisayim, the Amri Komptorcha Kami Yasin. She says, look, I'm preoccupying myself so much for the Yisayim, Loi Gosme Yasmi. I mean, we're not going to be chayshish that she gaza from the Yisayim. Kamashwan, that's what he comes to tell us. No, she's chashuda. When she comes to Geld, is an andere Welt. That's it. So she's chashuda. But Mamin Yisayim, und sichel havi raya lidvara, and she's going to have to bring a raya that she inherited. It says in the Mishnah, we learned in the Mishnah, when do we say the dinim of chazaka? When do we say the dinim of chazaka? When a person does a chazaka in the chosim of his friend, that 3 years of a chazaka with a taina that he says he bought it from his friend, then it helps. Then there's no din of chazaka. All these that we enumerated in the Mishnah, Matana, or Achim Shacholku, or he was made a chazaka in the Nirsa Ger Lav ne chazaka nino. What are you going to say? They're not shaykh to make a chazaka. The Mishnah finishes off that if one of them was null or goda or paritz, it's going to be a chazaka. There's missing words in the Mishnah. And this is how you have to learn the Mishnah. When were these words said? Meaning, that we use the chazaka as a raya, that the seller says, I didn't sell it. And the buyer says, I bought it. And I was there 3 years. So the 3 years of chazaka, together with the taina that he bought it, is going to help. But what about a chazaka that there's no taina, there's no taina against him? Somebody gave it to him as a matana. We're not talking about there was a ma'ara here. Somebody gave him a matana. Or the brothers divided. How do they make sure that the division stays? How does he make sure that the matana remains as a matana to him? It's his. Or somebody goes into the and makes a chazaka. The geir died. He has no yashim, so his kaka becomes hafka. How does he make a chazaka? So he says there it means the lemik the ba'almahu. Here we're talking about a different type of chazaka. We're talking about a kinyan, chazaka al kinyan, nishta chazaka al tzraya. So how are they going to assure that the matana is a good matana, and the masa b'nichsa ageri is going to be koina, the karka from hefka or the achin that divided? How do they make sure that their chelik belongs to them? If not, if he put up a door and put a lock in it, or godar, or he put up a gate, parats or kolsho, or he made an opening, hareizu chazaka. This is a chazaka of kinyan that helps immediately. It's not talking about a chazaka. Here, where there's no taina, we're not talking about there was no matter. There was nobody finding that. We're just talking about a chazaka. How was he koina the matana? There was nobody being matter. So here he's talking about a chazaka of kinyan in the sefer. He says the chazaka sheishi matana is talking about when there's a me'arer.
How do you know it's a matana? He has to tell everybody it's a matana.
Yeah, the guy says, I gave, here is, no, we know he gave it to him as a matana, but how is he koina the matana? So he's talking about these are the ways of being koina the